Everyone gets a trophy and nobody has to pay their bill. This is a bad path. Why is it that the people that just do everything right are the ones that get shortchanged over and over and over again by our political system? You've heard me talk about the hourglass economy, a lot on top, a lot on the bottom, and the whole middle class just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, continually getting squeezed. Why? Because it's in the interest of politicians to make it this way. And this latest move with loan forgiveness, it does nothing but hurt the middle class, the folks doing things right all over again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. I am Trish Regan. Great to have you here. A reminder, make sure you subscribe on Apple, iTunes, or on Spotify. Hit the subscribe button. It's really, really important. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching this on video, or my Rumble channel. It's great to have you here. These are important times. This is an important issue. Portions of today's program are brought to you by Legacy Precious Metals. There's never been a better time to invest in precious metals than now with all this inflation. So go to legacypminvestments.com for more. Again, legacypminvestments.com for more. We're going to talk a little bit more about hedging all this insanity in just a moment as we wait, of course, on the Federal Reserve to tell us tomorrow that they're committed to containing inflation. I don't know how they're going to be committed when you get a White House that is clearly committed to making sure that inflation just continues to run away. What do you think this is going to do when you give everybody in America that is probably under 40? I only say this because 67% of all student loans still outstanding are held by people under the age of 40, and that is the demographic that Joe Biden is doing quite poorly with. Anyway, what are we to do when you have so many young people not realizing that there are consequences for anything? I mean, maybe we shouldn't blame them because we taught them that, right? Isn't the whole thing with that generation that everyone gets a trophy? Everyone gets a trophy and nobody has to pay their bill. This is a bad path that we're on, a seriously bad path. And the federal government there with all their money printing is just going to continue this. That's the effect that this massive giveaway, $10,000, in some cases $20,000. I mean, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but we got details now. We've got details and I got to share them with you because President Biden is going to be forgiving up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt. Tens of millions of Americans will be affected by this. It's a move that is going to provide what they call unprecedented relief to millions of borrowers. Of course, there's some, stipulations here. For example, if you still live at home because maybe you can't afford your own place because you're trying to pay off all those student loans and you're living with your parents, then guess what? You're not going to qualify. So that means a lot of people that might have benefited from it are not going to benefit. They're going to be unhappy, right? And a lot of other people are going to be unhappy within the Democrat Party, within the base, because it's not the $50,000 that he had promised. You see, they wanted $50,000. I mean, heck, it could still come. I'm not going to rule anything out, but this $10,000, this is a lot, or $20,000 in some case is for people who got the Pell grants. I mean, which were grants. So now you're getting more money. I guess they figured you were that poor, you got the grant, therefore they're going to relieve even more of your quote unquote burden. I mean, you were the one that took it on, right? I mean, did anybody say you have to go to school? Well, actually, sort of, kind of, yeah. That's a whole other problem, right? Because the left has indoctrinated society so much into telling everybody, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. If you don't go to college, oh, bad things are going to happen. I mean, except that, some of the most brilliant entrepreneurs never went to college. And by the way, none of that kind of matters. I said to you in yesterday's program, I mean, that's un-American to just be like, okay, everybody's going to go to college. It's not who we are. We need a more diverse workforce than that. But you see, it's very advantageous to the left in that they are always trying to indoctrinate our young people to think a certain way, all that wokeness, and it comes right out of the universities themselves, the universities that have been funded and will continue to be funded now by taxpayers. And they're charging crazy amounts of money and putting kids in debt. And what does Joe Biden do? Instead of actually going after the universities and saying, hey guys, this isn't flying, you can't actually increase your tuition like this, he's just handing out more money, which makes it that much easier for them to raise tuition. And it teaches everybody that the consequences don't apply to them. At some point, this is going to become a problem. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it will be. And this is why I keep saying you got to protect yourself accordingly. You really do. It's critical, and it's one of the reasons why I've got gold in my portfolio. It's one of the reasons why I recommend that people look at having something like gold in their portfolio. You want that steady investment that can help you weather out some of the volatility that's there. And it's the reason why I continue to push for this. I mean, in good times and in bad. So take a look at gold. And when you do, I recommend you call my friends over at Legacy Precious Metals, because they're the team that I trust for investing in gold. LegacyPMinvestments.com is their website. You can call them. You're welcome to say that I sent you, that they're good friends of mine, and they will take good care of you. I promise you that. 1-866-589-0560, 1-866-589-0560. And look at doing something like maybe a gold-backed IRA today, so that you have your worth in the future that you have today. I mean, the way things are going, our dollars are not going to be able to buy as much in the future. You have to look at that purchasing power of the US dollar, which has been dwindling even without the 9.1 and what is it, 8 point something percent inflation. It has been dwindling over the years. And a lot of people do not think, I'm one of them, that the Fed is going to be able to bring this under control. We, of course, will find out tomorrow, because Jerome Powell is going to be speaking out there at the big shindig. This is like, this is the Emmys or the, Oscars, if you would, of Fed world. And Jerome Powell has this big speech. He's just screwed up over and over again, and I have absolutely no faith in the guy. I mean, I'm disappointed, highly disappointed in him. I thought he would have done a whole lot better. He did have a little bit of real world experience, so I thought, okay, great. At least you don't have a total academic in there. But maybe he's just influenced too much by his old boss. That would be Janet Yellen, who was an academic, total academic, and a bureaucrat, and is now our Treasury Secretary, and sat there with a straight face and told us that inflation was just transitory. I'm sorry. So now the Federal Reserve is trying to get it under control, and Joe Biden is fighting them at this game, because he is going to add, I got the numbers here for you. These are independent estimates suggesting that this plan is going to cost $300 billion over 10 years' time. And that will add to the federal deficit. That means we've got more long-term problems, but nobody cares, right? For Joe Biden and for the Democrats, you just push that can down there, kick the can down the road. Kick it a little more, let it be somebody else's problem. All you need to worry about is getting elected again, right, in November. And that's frankly what so much of this is about. And that's what's so disappointing. I do want to point out around 6 out of 10 borrowers with any federal loans also did receive Pell Grants, which are a form of federal aid, financial aid for undergraduate students. I actually myself got a Pell Grant and was able to use that money to go to Columbia University. I took out loans. I paid them back. I know that not everybody's had the same advantages as I have. I've also worked pretty darn hard and put myself through school, and lucky that I was able to pay all that money back. And I don't love the ever increasing tuition rates, but I knew when I signed on that dotted line that I was going to have to figure out a way to pay that money back. And what we're teaching people now is you don't have to. You don't have to, because it's not your fault. It's never your fault. It's government's fault. In this case, it actually might be government's fault, because they've contributed so much to the escalating rates that we see in the education industry by giving all this money to begin with. So the Pell Grant recipients will be eligible to write off $20K that they won't have to pay back. Everybody else $10. This applies to you if you're making $125,000 as an individual, or a family, a couple making $250,000. This gives the Democrats, I guess, the chance to go out on the campaign trail and say, we did it. We gave you a hey, that beats any stimulus check, right? We gave you $10,000, or in some cases $20,000. I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with this, but regardless, fundamentally, economically, ultimately, we all have a problem with this, a collective problem, and it's going to make our situation so much worse. I guess we'll say, well, that was a great country once, right? They had a good period, and then look what happened. Too much debt, too much living off the dole. You know where that expression comes from? Rome. I believe that was a great empire as well one day, right? I'm just saying. Do me a favor. Make sure that you have subscribed to this channel. Make sure that you have subscribed to the podcast on Apple iTunes and on Spotify. Please come visit me over on Instagram or on my locals channel. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow.